What's going on, Alamo City Movie Talk fans? As always, I'm your host, Ryan D. Canola, Ryan680.
And this is Lex, back at it again, guys, with a review, this time on TV.
What's up, everyone? Hopefully, everyone's having a wonderful day. And believe, guys, believe. Let's get right to it. Ted Lasso, excuse me, Ted Lasso, Season 4, Episode 4. See that? 4-4. 444. There's an inside joke here in San Antonio with the lawyer thing. But let's get right to it, guys. Confirmed episode here, and we will talk about spoilers at the very end of this episode. But right now, no spoilers yet. Spoiler free. We're going to talk about this. And Lex, I do want to ask you because this is one of the we're on 4th episode. We got 10 episodes this season. Now the title of this episode is Greyhounds Day Off. What does that mean? Now let's talk about this. So Lex, remember, spoiler free. What did you think of episode 4 titled Greyhounds Day Off? Should be Lady Greyhounds Day Off, but yeah, Lady Greyhounds Day Off. What did you think of this episode? Did it meet your expectations? And give us a little insight to what you thought of it.
Yeah, no, this was a really funny episode. Definitely more team centered. I'll read the synopsis here briefly just to give context. Even if you want to stay spoiler free, the coaches must figure out how to break up team cliques to adjust to life outside of the locker room. So this episode, guys, once again, it continues the momentum of this season, in my opinion, where we've kind of said ever since episode 1 warmed you up. Episode 2 really felt like Richmond again, like the Ted Lasso of old. This time, I think episode 4 mixes it up, right? Like it further draws a distinction of what is life in this position as a coach. How is it different with now managing the women's team? I think on some of the past episodes, it's kind of talked about how just the environment and the world, right? As far as like the messaging and sentiment that it has against the women's team, just like, the why behind it all. Those previous episodes focus on that. And I think once again, we're now going deeper just into the team itself and understanding the dynamic. And like the synopsis just said, it's about how to break up team cliques. And I think from just all kinds of media, like, the old school high school movies where you have to deal with a clique, I think it's kind of like a story as old as time. So it was really exciting to see it addressed on this episode. And in a different way, right? Like they do explain how women team cliques can differ from like men cliques and how the coaches tackle this. This was an absolute blast of an episode. Some of it went over the top in terms of like how crazy the teams got. But it was a lot of fun to see this. I would say that it exceeded my expectations because I'm glad that we were finally learning more about these players and just their crazy characters.
Yeah, and we talk about this a lot, and they kind of reiterate this, right? Because we know that, like, even from a locker room standpoint and high school, like you already mentioned, the jocks hang out with the jocks, the emos hang out with the emos, and the posers hang out with the posers or whatever, right? And so like the nerds hang out with the nerds, it's one of those things to where like it does have its own West Side Story, if you will, the sharks, stuff like that, so the grease heads with the grease, and it has that same irritation, that same ideology here, the same idea. And I really do appreciate that because it really emphasizes the fact that yes, this does happen a lot. This does happen to teams, and not just teams, but it happens to every society in our world today. And so even with your own, you have your own peeps and your own people you talk to at your work. You have your own clique of work. So do I. You have your main core 4, 3, whatever, 10, whatever. And you really trust and value their opinion, and you trust that they wouldn't say shit about you, right? So it's just one of those things to where like, damn, like this is, you got my back, I got yours, boom. It's very, very human nature of us to really kind of draw near towards our cliques, right? Or in this case, and they talk about it a lot too, because even though there was cliques in the men's room, it was mainly, and they talk about it a little bit, they mentioned factions of them because it's more of a bigger group. I think it was mainly because of the fact that guys are a little bit more chill, women are a little bit more different when it comes to it, like Mean Girl vibes, Regina George, I'm saying Regina George, or Pretty Little Liars, like stuff like that, like shows like that that really focus in a lot.
Yeah, and it's funny because some of these, without getting to spoilers, some of these properties that you're mentioning about, like, even get referenced in the episode itself, as far as like, hey, well, what are these kind of cliques that you address with?
Exactly.
So yeah, just a lot of fun. Once again, crazy outcomes there towards the end. Um, there's a component and an idea of how these cliques could be broken up,
Yeah.
and so that was just like overall a lot of fun in this episode.
Yeah, and Lex already mentioned it on the synopsis, but Ted is struggling the life outside the locker room. We'll get more in depth on the spoiler side of it, but yes, definitely a new concept here. Definitely a new concept because of the fact that he can't. We'll talk about his spoilers, but yeah, we can't do certain things anymore. He's limited because obviously they're lady greyhounds. I'll say that. If that doesn't make any sense to you, let me know. But I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. But it's definitely a little bit different. And then, of course, we get a little bit more character development with certain other characters. Roy, appreciate Roy, love Roy. We'll talk about that as well. But yeah, this episode was really good. I feel like it's on to the movement and on to the nostalgia because Ted Lasso's been on for such a long time now, focusing on the core beliefs of that Ted Lasso is believe, and that's the core beliefs of this series, is that it's going to that core heartfulness of human interactions that we get out of this episode that I really did love and enjoy and just admire at times of this whole series. So I really do appreciate this series so much because it really focuses a lot on the core beliefs of just being genuine and everything, and be think like a goldfish. Shit happens, figure it out and move on and do it right the second time or whatever, right? So I really do love how it's going towards that direction. It definitely feels like the Ted Lasso that we missed. And not to say that the other episodes were bad, they weren't. It's just it just like everything else, the first episode usually wasn't the best, and it hasn't really been. The first episode for all the series itself wasn't always the strongest episode to begin with anyways of the season. So hey, to each his own, and I really did enjoy this. But yeah, let's go to ratings, Lex, and we'll talk about spoilers right after this. Let's go to ratings, Lex. What are you going to give this rating? I'm going to say Lady Greyhounds Day Off. What do you think of this episode 4, man? Rating 1 out of 10, 10 be the highest.
I think this was 7.9 for me.
Okay.
Yeah. So right about 8. I don't know what stops it from being an 8, I guess, but it's a really fun episode. It's just a blast.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I got you guys. All right. So I'm going to give this a solid 7.7 out of 10, guys. I really did enjoy this episode. It's really good. It's a really good episode. And it focuses a lot mainly on, the team building. It really does. Team building, team values. And also there is a hint. I'm going to leave a little hint, and it's not really a spoiler. It really is, but it isn't. Podcasts. That's like that. There's a podcast in here that I'm really just like I loved and enjoyed. And let's get right to it. Obviously, we're gonna talk about spoilers next. So 7.7. Lex, you gave it. What was it? An 8?
7.9 for me.
Oh,
just under an 8 for sure.
Yeah. So just under an 8. So there you go, guys. And let's get right to it, Lex. We're gonna talk about spoilers here. Spoilers. And let's get the elephant out of the room real quick. The Lady Greyhounds are dealing with internal cliques, what they call it. The coaches try to figure out the breakdown, why the breakdown of the players are there apart, and there are definitely 3 ways, if I'm not mistaken: the strikers,
it's the positions, so the midfielders, and is it defense? No.
Defense player or something. I'm sorry. So like pretty much this is a clique right here. Like it's pretty much everyone. Yeah. They all have their niche, but it's too divided to where and
of course, they're not working together. Yeah. They don't treat themselves well in the practice and everything.
Yeah, and when they get divided like this, they tend to talk shit about each other, and it definitely happens in its own perspective, and it's not always a great thing, especially in the fact that we find out we also actually find out we also find out as well is the fact that they played 4 games already. They're
tied.
They're tied. So tied for 2, and then 2 wins.
So they haven't lost. So they call them undefeated.
Yeah, they're undefeated. So I thought that was very great to hear, and I was like, nice. And so Ted is struggling.
It's a little bit of a fast forward, right?
Yeah, and then Ted is struggling with life outside the locker room. What does that mean, guys? That actually means that it explores Ted adjusting to his new situation here, where he can't just go into the locker room anymore because they are women, and he has to be respectful and everything. He actually
Yeah.
makes a funny statement I thought was very funny and kind of awkward in a way. And Beard, and I love how they acknowledged it, was the fact like, man, I wish I could just go into women's locker room. Like it's just like
Yeah,
it
and
just
he's like, wait, I gotta think about what I
let me think
said.
about this. Yeah, I just love
It's
how
a
Beard
funny
was
bit.
like, yeah, and something does happen to where he has to go in. I thought that was great. He puts his trash can on his head. Beard gets sticky notes. I thought that was inventive. The sticky notes. I never heard that before. I never seen that before. That was
And
pretty
I think
good.
he put him under. I think he put him under his sunglasses too.
Yeah.
So
he
he
couldn't
had
see.
glasses, but then the sticky notes.
Yeah, so I was like, "Damn, that's great!" And everyone's all like, "Yeah, no, yeah, we're decent." And then out of nowhere, at the end, the clicks happen. There's a fight, and then at the very end, it's like, "Oh man!" Like the ladies all like, "Just look this way, like where the girls like naked behind them, and it's like, "Damn."
Yeah. He canceled practice, I think. So he
Yeah.
canceled practice and decided like we're gonna
We're
do
gonna
a
go
team activity. Coach
trivia.
decided activity. Well, they later decide on the trivia. They say like
Yeah.
that's what we need to go. But they were just gonna do some sort of team activity or team exercise, so they can fix that.
Yeah. And
yeah,
it's a
so
centralized
the trivia.
conflict. Yeah, it's a centralized conflict between the team members, and it's definitely assembles, the roster, because they're trying to still kind of really cope with the roster they have and really kind of struggle with that challenge of getting these players, in fact, to really trust one another. So yeah, and I really do appreciate that. Ted's Kaloshi, I would even still say, I know we talked about it last episode, but even more so, Coach Ted Lasso's coaching philosophy gets tested still, and it seems like it's getting tested every episode. And I feel like and this is just my perspective because I haven't watched ahead. I know Lex has, but I feel like he has to adjust his philosophy from what he's learned from the men's and kind of rechange some practices for the women. So I'll say that
there's new challenges for sure. It does, like, this was very similar, I'd say, to the episode where in Ted Lasso, the original, he assigned reading books for certain characters, right? Particularly Roy was A Wrinkle of Time, and it was just, they all had themes of like how do leaders within the team kind of rise up, and how their dynamics can start from them getting along and things like that. And so I think Roy and Jamie, they were all assigned the books, and ultimately at the end of the episode, Roy rises to the occasion. It's not the exact same for this, as you guys know. Like it kind of plays more into how the team stands up for each other, and so they gave him like common enemy. And that's the part that I really like, because once again, they're kind of showing that Ted can tackle these different problems, which lets us keep having a story that's interesting watching. And like you said, I think it's not like an exact copy, but it feels like a fresh approach on how to get these teams to work together.
Yeah, no, definitely. And you really need the team to unite together, right? I mean, I completely agree with you there. And so it's definitely interesting to see how it really progresses over. And I feel like that's the biggest challenge for Ted, is really trying to have a big impact on the Lady Greyhounds as much as he's trying to, as much as he did with the men. So yeah, no, definitely. And then of course we're gonna shift the conversation over. We're gonna talk about Roy and Keely. First and foremost, I do want to say, guys, that was great. I love that scene where they're together. He's all like, "You want to try again?" And I love how Higgins. They bring Higgins into the conversation, and it's just so genuinely fucking great. It was funny, dude. It was funny. I was laughing. I was just like, "Damn!" And
it's like Higgins put him on the
group chat.
They put him on the group chat. He was like,
"Dude, that was brutal. Please let me out." And I was like, "Damn, that's so funny, dude." I was cracking up. I was like, "Oh my god, this is great." Higgins is keeping count of the dates, and I'm just like, "Damn, like poor Higgins." And he's like, "I need to call my wife." I thought that was really great. I love that though, and it's actually interesting to see. So he was trying to speed date everything, right? Roy.
Yeah.
And it looks like he might have a new love interest. We'll see. I don't know. Well, see, hey, let's skip ahead. So I'm
Hey,
just
I'm
saying,
not saying anything though.
okay, but all I'm saying is that it looks like he found a love interest, and right at the moment of the brink of time, the wrinkle of time, his hip, or I'm sorry, not his hip, his leg or his knee cracked, and like boom, while he was about to have intercourse or coitus. I thought coitus. I thought that was really funny. I was like, "Damn, dude!" And I legit thought he was like, "Oh, let me just snap it back in." No, like it was done. Like he was just down. He just not. He couldn't get up. Call somebody. He was like,
it's been a rough go ahead with Roy and his knee ever since I keep saying ever since the last season, but I mean like since the original trilogy, right?
Yeah.
So I wonder when we're gonna see the character development and him actually fixing that, because this gave me the impression that he's just never even seen a doctor about this. So it surprises me because he has money, right? Like as a former player, like we've seen what he drives and the lifestyle that he lives. Is like, how can you not just pay someone to fix that? Like, but yeah, hopefully we see that. Maybe the season finale, that's what it's all about.
I hope so too. I mean, this is definitely one of those things to where like, damn, like, bro, get that knee fixed. Like,
yeah. But you see that Keely obviously still cares for him. It's just she really felt like she's afraid almost, right, to get back into that relationship, and not knowing if she's like a permanent thing or just something that Roy. But she found it weird that he had not dated since, right? So since they broke up.
But I mean, Roy's not really a big dater in general to begin with.
He was back in the day though. Like they would say, like he would be with supermodels. I think he's
but like he's at that age. He's
Rolex or something.
Yeah, but he's at that age where like who gives a
shit?
No,
for sure. Yeah.
I
just Keely clearly gave him a challenge, and he's
really trying to get.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I love how he's all like, "Wait, you count that as a date? Like that's 4 dates? That's he's
yeah."
I thought that was great. But yeah, no, and then of course we get the big trivia night. Switching over to the trivia night we did with everybody. So it was really cool to see how the teams, they were still kind of. It was very interesting to see because even though Ted and Beard, they were correct, they either have two things. And I love how they mentioned the references of Harry Potter in the cliques. I love how they mentioned that, Ron, Hermione, and Harry, and then kind of interpreting that over to Bearder's Day off. I was like, what the? Yeah. How has he never seen Harry Potter? What the hell, Ted? I was like, what? No, like, what? That is weird. And then also kind of referencing the whole point of the cliques, right? So like Lost Boys, mentioned Mean Girls, where you hit her with the bus. And like, I love how Beard knows all these references and really understands the irritation of the story. Yeah. Of pop culture. And he really pays attention to everything. He's key point there. So two things that they mentioned, a common enemy or a common goal. And that was one of the key points here. And I really did appreciate that they really had a common enemy, which was the men in this one. Well, but the bar scene where they're trying to beat the men and trying to beat them in trivia and everything. So I thought that was really great. It made sense. It was great writing where it made sense in its own right. And I really did appreciate that a lot. So the kudos to Apple TV for making that really great concept there.
And I didn't expect it to break out into an actual fight and them going to prison. So that was fun.
And getting out of prison, it was interesting too, knowing that someone that Keely loves, or I'm sorry, admires, not loves yet, that businesswoman, but also to point being is that Rebecca's very hesitant towards this woman because how aggressive this girl is. She's a little bit aggressive in her own right. So I guess, or how she really says things on her mind. And so I feel like it's kind of weird to see Rebecca kind of hesitant towards that. So I was just like, okay, that's a little weird, but anyways, yeah. But
we'll see what happens.
Yeah, no, we're definitely going to see, because it's going to be a key element here to where she progresses along with the Lady Greyhounds to kind of back her when it comes to money, because she's rich, that other lady. So yeah. And then, of course, we got, they're in prison and everything. While they're in prison, it reminded me of this scene it's the movie The Replacements, and it's with Keanu Reeves, and it's where the replacements are their sports team gets they're
Yeah.
they are on strike, the NFL players, so they pick up recruitments that are just anybody. John Favreau's in there, by the way, and the team gets locked up in prison because they got into a bar fight, something very similar,
Yeah.
and then they united even more in the jail.
It may very well be
Yeah.
inspiration for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And so I really did appreciate that. I thought that was really great. And also it even made more sense because the women were separate from the men. And I was like, damn, this is really great. And you just hear Ted, you just see Ted just smiling, just like with this big old smile like that. It's just like, yes, they finally got a team together. They're going to support one another. And now it's time to win. That's all I'm saying. He's got to win this season. There has to be win. What do you think the record's going to be? Just for shits and giggles.
I don't know. I don't know if I don't know how it works. How many matches they do at this league or at this division? I think it was called. So I would say maybe they'll end up like because I know they had a lot of draws already, no losses.
Yeah.
I forget how many just matches in general they were at. I would say something like 12-4 or something like that.
Okay.
That sounds right. I would say maybe
yeah.
something like that. I don't know. I don't know if they're working towards a specific championship or something like that. Like if they do the same thing as far as like getting promoted. I'm not too sure how it all works precisely, but yeah, I would say still like an overall good score. I don't know if there's, like I said, they'll be champions of something else on a different cup.
Yeah, I think they'll lose enough to where they'll be in a championship round because it's weird how that works out with the soccer, with the Premier League, because I think they're in the women's Premier League, right?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, it's not the Premier League, because the Premier League is the top division. I don't know what this league called. I know that this team was like under the main divisions.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, yeah. So we'll see when it comes out, guys. I'm actually interested to see how the Lady Greyhounds really come together and really kind of just really flow to one another and see them win, man. I'm excited. I really am this season to see them win, to see them give, because they have to push to really have a record here, because there's a lot on stakes. There really is. For Rebecca's reputation's on the line here, so the whole team, the whole Richmond team is. But anyways, there you have it, guys. That's our review. Anything else I missed, Lex, that I could think of or anything like that? I mean, maybe a couple of things here, but I think we covered everything.
Yeah, no, just super excited where this is headed next. And like you said, more football, more life.
Football. More life, yeah. More football, more life. And then also, fun fact, last episode, guys, that was actually Danny Rojas's real sister in the show. Just FYI, I don't know if you knew that. I don't know if we mentioned it or not, but that was
we
actually...
we didn't know at the time.
Yeah, so that's his actual real sister. I saw a statement from, I was like, oh, wow, that was really cool. Love that. Love how she got casted. And I just wish she had a bigger part this season. That's all I'll say. I wish she did. We'll see. Maybe no. Maybe you never know. Maybe she'll come back. I don't know. We'll find out. Maybe Danny will teach her football and then she'll come back next season.
No, it doesn't work like that.
I don't know. We'll see. You never know. There's believe, Lex. Believe. All right. All right, guys. Thank you so much for making this a part of your day. As always, I'm your host, Ryan D. Ryan 680.
And this was Lex. Take care, everyone.
Have a good one, guys. We'll see you at the movie. Stay tuned for more movie reviews. You got 6 movie reviews coming out this week. I got 2 that are going to premiere tomorrow, another 2 on Tuesday, and we got a lot of films coming out, okay? We'll see you at the movies, guys. Latest.